As we get into picking bands number 2, understanding that Rival are sort of adaptation city, where does NRG go from here?
More of the same. I mean, if I'm NRG, I'm not really scared of whatever Rival's going to adjust with, because I like it when NRG plays with that arrogance, not just confidence, arrogance.
Yes.
Because that's when iRaffer's at his best. If he's just arrogantly in your on your back harpies, not Frezzy style because he'll live, but just invading, doing his best to frustrate you. And that's what NRG does better than just about anybody.
I'll 100% agree with that. Rival, well, they didn't like the performance out of adapting, so they'll ban out his Circuit. With that in mind, though, there are plenty of more carry selections for the NRG jungle to select. So AMC and Fafnir still the bans out from NRG. So with Rival with the first selection, I don't think we see the Osiris.
I think it's going to be Artio here from Rival. It's open, and it is going to be Osiris. So that gives NRG the opportunity to go for it. If I'm NRG right now, I think I just go straight to Artio and Thor. I give it any time.
Artio suffers versus Osiris, which is the problem.
Sure, but you can put it to iRaffer. It's a iRaffer-style god to me. I think maniaK's the one who played it before for NRG, but I think you can put it at either lane. Plus, there's Osiris not necessarily going to Deathwalker. Another guy who's really comfortable on this god, but iceicebaby likes to play these warriors in the jungle. Rival does a good job of setting up for right side pressure whenever they get things like Osiris on the right side. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes to iceicebaby, or could be the Odin for him. He plays that a lot as well.
I want to see the Odin on ice. You know, as soon as I said I don't expect it to be the Osiris, I kind of thought in the other direction. Deathwalker plays very strong Osiris, and it's one of these things where, you say it's not Osiris as a reflection of the meta, but then you look at these two teams. Osiris, kind of one of those fought-after gods, because a lot of players on these teams kind of really want him.
Oh, yeah.
The Zotz, interesting choice, especially next to the Artio. I'm trying to think. Artio has that nice PBAOE stun, but I want some long-range confirm stuff as well, and Camazotz not going to bring that.
No, but it's long-range damage, and a lot of it from the Camazotz, as well as has multiple ways to get out of Odin Cage.
I'm good.
Jing has that as well, the ability to get out of Odin Cage very easily, as well as make an impact in these team fights. Isis for Wlfy, a god we have not seen at all recently. But you want to talk about a team that wants pressure? Rival across the board. If you want to talk about a team composition that if they don't get ahead early, they're just totally toast. This is that team composition.
This is Team Rival saying, we are going to beat you with your own composition. Now, Soul was taken, so we have to give Wlfy his Isis, and we're going to try something a little bit different in the jungle. But the idea of the Osiris, Sylvanus, Ullr, we're looking for pressure, we're looking for individual prowess. This is Rival saying, we're going to beat you with your own stick, NRG. What's up? And NRG responding by saying, we're going to give maniaKK his Sobek.
And I like this. I like the Raijin ban for Rival, because that way, or for NRG, so that Rival can't pick it. Raijin brings excellent early clear, Isis level early clear, but much more safety in the mid to late game and even in the early stages. So putting Wlfy on a god that is very vulnerable. This is the entire crux of Rival's team comp in my mind. How effective can Wlfy be on the Isis? Because Isis's upside is insane. I mean, she brings insane CC, insane damage, insane control. But if she dies and falls behind, the damage goes out the window. The control's still there, but really only for objectives. And gods like Camazotz just don't care about Circle of Protection at all.
Sure. And the Camazotz thing that you bring up is a very, very big deal. I was a little distracted. Was the Giannis banned out?
No, they wanted more pressure than Giannis is going to bring, as ML takes a lot of poke. But here comes iRaffer around the back. Voke gets knocked up and expends the purification beads. Probably not going to fall quite yet, but having to use beads and a health pot in that scenario, it's tough stuff.
I like the play by iRaffer. That's a what's it called? That's a playbook play. Expecting emilitoo to get dove on. That's the reason emilitoo's that far up. Looks like he's being silly, but then iRaffer comes out of the jungle, and hopefully they get a first blood. That's something you draw up, you play in scrims, and then you play in the big show. That was, you know, I like to see teams with attention to detail there. The reason I ask if Giannis was banned out, and again, you bring up pressure. I don't think Wlfy goes Raijin if he's not banned. I think he goes Isis. Wlfy came on the scene as a sort of two-god wonder, and Isis was the second one. and everybody sort of forgot about it. But his Isis is top tier.
It really is.
And when you're put in this position where you need that, like you said, you need all the pressure and everything. And with a must-win game back against the wall, this is where you give your mid laner the second big boss they brought to the Pro League. Yeah, absolutely. I think Wlfy plays its Isis no matter what's banned.
Maybe. I think that it's certainly on the table. It's like we could go Raijin, we could go Isis. How much control do we need? And there isn't a lot of hard CC on Rival's composition. You're really looking at Kalas' knock-up for the ultimate, his root, which isn't really even hard CC, and then Vote's Axe. And that's about it in terms of hard CC. Is Isis found himself in a weird spot, but gets the jump back up in time and hops up over that blue buff. So Isis does bring something that Raijin would not have to this team composition, and that's reliable CC, especially that from a distance.
And I think that's a reliable CC is a huge deal.
Very much so, but that's the only way that he gets to position aggressively and put out that hard CC from a distance is if Rival get a lead.
Sure. I think it's extremely possible. And little bias here. I love watching good Isis play. I think watching Isis played well is some of the best Smite you can see at an SPL level. Just a lot of open-ended combos, long-range controls, always fun, and the way you dance in between aggression by juggling your abilities is so impressive. It's really fun to watch. So hopefully Wlfy gets to actually play this Isis, and we really get to see what's at stake here. Ullr jumping out of trouble, vote pretty low, and maniaKK just getting 2v1'd here the entire time.
But he's not too worried about this. He went for Phantom in the early game, really making sure that he wasn't going to be stuck by that Odin cage, even on a gank scenario. Even with that iceicebaby sitting over here on the right-hand side, that's going to put maniaKK behind because of how many waves he's losing to tower, yes, but the same token, Deathwalker splitting waves, and maniaKK isn't. So while it's going to put him behind early, as soon as he starts to be able to clear a little bit more quickly, he'll end up having just about the same amount of gold as Deathwalker.
Exactly, and there's two things to be told here about the Sobek pick for maniaKK. First of all, again, talk about comfort picks. Osiris and Sobek are the two gods that allow maniaKK to have this sort of root beer tapper, hands everywhere type of play style. He picks it into the Odin, knowing that Lock the Croc is one of the more devastating combinations you've got, or confrontation that you're going to bring to maniaKK. So he goes to the Phantom. But being stuck under tower as a Guardian versus a Warrior, the base stats are better for Sobek. He doesn't care if he loses the gold as long as he gets the experience. So, I mean, this is not ideal, but this is more of a, I can deal.
That's what you deal with whenever you have a Guardian in the solo lane.
Doesn't mind.
No one expects to get pressure when you play a Guardian in the solo lane. And maniaKK's played enough Sobek in his time to understand that. Look for him to be the big difference maker in these team fights in diving this Isis to make sure that Wlfy doesn't have a way to get away, because Circle of Protection, again, not bad against Lurking in the Waters. It gives you some damage reduction, and then you can pop up the heal if you survive, and a lot of times,
or if you're on it,
you aren't surviving from Lurking in the Waters. Whenever by the time maniaKK comes in, he'll probably have a Void Stone. He's got his boots already done. That Lurking in the Waters full charge, Isis's base health is very low and will almost one-shot her. I mean, it's about 50% at least.
And if it doesn't, well, Yammyn in trouble. There's the ring. Both iRaffer and Yammyn going to be stuck underneath it. Big stun coming out from iRaffer, but now he's in trouble. Knock up and confirmed. Wlfy with the first blood thanks to Circle of Protection. Adapting in the sky, looking for damage, not going to be able to find it. And it's just Team Rival on the board. Wlfy starting things hot with the offensive Isis.
That's one thing that Isis can do that Raijin can't. That Circle of Protection laid down inside the Odin ring is so potent, because no way for iRaffer to get away from that guaranteed big burst of damage from Wlfy's ult. Adapting could have found a return kill there, but was a little bit off the mark with the Vampiric Bats onto Kalas. As soon as Adapting gets some items online, some penetration, he's going to be looking to play more aggressive in those sorts of scenarios. And once maniaKK starts rotating, iRaffer doesn't have to worry about that cage quite as much because of that Phantom.
Osiris, Odin. Another reason why I bet Isis was the pick no matter what. I'm telling you, I'm going to ask AJ later and be like, yo, Jackal, Isis the pick? He was like, we picked it 17 weeks ago. I knew they were going to play it. That's exactly what he sounds like, by the way.
You really know the Rival boys well. You do their impressions
I hung
flawlessly.
out with them. I hung out with them at Valencia in DreamHack. It was really fun. I was hanging out with iceIcebaby. Wlfy in trouble, able to walk away. And, you know, I was just asking him how his team got to be so successful. And he was like, well, I mean, we just kind of play really well. And Alpha Jackal, our coach, is pretty good. And Alpha Jackal was like, yeah, we're really good. We like to pick our own meta stuff, and that's how we do it. So Team Rival sticking to their own meta and sticking to their own high-level performances.
I didn't know that Alpha Jackal was from New York.
Oh, he's not.
Oh, that's how you talk whenever you...
Oh, no, that's just what he sounds like.
Typical New York guy accent that is very similar. I just got a little confused.
I think you're mixing me up with Remix.
Might be.
iceicebaby in trouble, but walks right on out after he drops the ring, adapting the one. Looking to turn things around on DW, but he's totally fine. It's all about the rotation, people. Yammyn being brought down to a quarter of HP. Collis chasing. He's out. He's popped up. Nice save by maniaKK on the right-hand side. Collis is forced to find a kill by himself, and he won't because he's just a tree man. iRaffer now surrounded by Team Rival players. Meanwhile, right side tower, maniaKK goes down for his efforts. Deathwalker on the good side of things. Ooh. And iceicebaby on the bad side, still getting out, but here's iRaffer with the sprint.
Nice stun by Wlfy, forces out the beats from emilitoo. iRaffer's trying to handle iceice, but a perfect pull from Camazotz takes emilitoo away. He will find one, he'll find another onto iceice as well.
emilitoo, fantastic rotation out of the Hunter. What a surprise, 2-0 and 0. And that's going to even up the world. Team Rival over there could have gotten that could have been a 4-0 engagement, but emilitoo exists.
Really big. Just using that Jing passive that's so impactful in this early game to try and defend those right side buffs. And that's been such a focus for so many teams. And it's a big reason why Jing has really found her way back into the meta fairly quickly, even with early game pressure being important, that she can just be anywhere on the map very, very quickly. Now, Vote does what he needs to do, which is push up that left-hand side, push a wave underneath that tower, try and invade the left, but nothing was up for NRG on the left-hand side. Everything was on cooldown, so can't invade the red, can't invade the purple. Perfectly timed rotation there from emilitoo.
And that's what we've come to expect out of you know, the defending world champion, Hunter. Just can't say enough about him. World's MVP at one point.
2-time world champion.
Just fantastic stuff. And really enjoy what we've been able to see out of emilitoo so far. And this is the day. I think when you look at emilitoo, and I hate sportsisms like this, Ryan. Emil's a winner.
Yeah, he does a lot of that.
But I mean, do you just and call me on it if you don't? Do you know what I mean by that?
I do. I think I don't know. Because usually that terminology is a guy who is in different positions and always seems to find up a way to end up on top.
Okay.
emilitoo's been in the same position and has found himself up on top. And a lot of why NRG wins is because of emilitoo. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it's necessarily apples to apples.
For me, what I mean by that statement is it's an attitude thing. Is that Emil just doesn't lose. I don't think he's gonna he's not gonna be. Nobody's okay with losing, but I don't think Emil loses lightly, and I think he's sort of putting in that extra gear in this game. He knows, him and adapting sort of know, like, listen, if we don't win both of these games, we don't go to super regionals. We got to deal with the gauntlet. There's a whole other conversation. I don't think these players do that. Like I don't get my sneakers dirty. We just don't do that, okay? And I think adapting and emilitoo totally come in here very, like, bougie, like, oh, we don't do that.
Missing lands? No, we don't.
Excuse me?
We don't do that.
Excuse me?
Do you know who we are?
We don't do that.
No way.
No how. No way. Really thinking about whether to continue there, weren't you?
No, I decided right away I wasn't going to continue that. I knew instantly.
I don't know about that one. Either way. I don't trust you, actually.
Wlfy leveling Spirit Ball after 3 points in Wing Gust. A little bit of an interesting decision from him. This is just to clear the wave more effectively with Wing Gust and then put points into the ability that you're going to be using more often than not in team fights. The biggest trap that a lot of ISIS players fall into when playing ISIS at a competitive level is using your Wing Gust, trying to hit all 4 parts of your Wing Gust onto an enemy god. If you chase someone down with Wing Gust in the middle of a team fight, you're probably dead because you just put yourself out of position. Good ISIS players use Wing Gust as a mobility tool in the middle of the team fights to reposition and get themselves in in a better spot for their next Spirit Ball or for their next ultimate to try and get in a better spot, not to necessarily put out damage. Wlfy's just leveling Wind Gust so that he can clear the wave effectively. Then it's going to be Spirit Ball because that's the real teamfight ability for Isis.
It's a teamfight ability. It's what makes her extremely safe. And it does a slew of damage. Like, I don't know, unreasonable amount of damage, especially from a safe distance. So, Wlfy going to be maxing that one. Again, Spirit, Wind Gust might be interesting thought process for when it comes to Spear of the Magus. But because you're not hitting all of your Wind Gusts, it's deceptive. A lot of players look at it and go, oh, I should go Spear here, but you're not really hitting all those. And plus, even if you do, you're not getting that penetration off the top. So, deceptive item indeed. Gold Fury brought down about half HP by Team Rival. Nice zone out from iceicebaby. Yammyn coming in from the right-hand side. This Gold Fury is going to Rival, but they're off to the races. Team NRG now looking for the
nice stun
fight after the fact. And adapting, gonna miss. Kala's still the target. Blinks away, and that's a nice look.
But iceicebaby, now this baited everyone in from the Rival. Wlfy has to use the Aegis because of a nice knockup from emilitoo. Beautiful double stun, though, from Wlfy. Make sure that he can't continue the chase.
I don't know why they looped around. Team Rival got very lucky there that things did not go NRG's way. That loop around was very
ill-advised.
There you go.
That's the word I'm going to use.
Because of it, NRG kind of wrapped around, but they get out no problem. They being Team Rival, and a very good look for them as they were up by about 3K.
And this is the position they need to be in with this team composition. And very similar to how Rival was treading water and staying where they needed to in Game 1 against NRG's early game composition. NRG doing the same here in Game 2. But the difference is that NRG's late game composition in this one compared to Rival's in Game 1 is much, much stronger.
Yeah.
NRG with the Soul, with the Camazotz, the Artio even in the later stages, the Jing so good in the late game. Rivals in Game 1 was better than NRG's, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't quite this potent. NRG's team composition wins late game against mid to late game comps. That's how good it is. But Rivals is all early game across the board. The only player who's going to be relevant in the later stages is Vote on the Ullr, and that's just because he's an ADC and building ADC items.
Very true. So what you're saying is you want to see Wlfy build Telkine. Well, you want to see Wlfy build Hasten Ring now, right?
What? No. How could you ever hear what I said and interpret it that way?
You want some more ADCs on the board. So you want Wlfy to build Hasten Ring and attack speed, right?
No, I want Deathwalker to build Chin Size and Deathbringer.
Chin Size and Deathbringer don't really have any connectivity. Chin Size is going to augment an attack speed build, which is actually fantastic for Deathwalker and the Osiris, because he has all these like half-second attacks, which allow him to be that sort of chainsaw character. Deathbringer, you want to actually build on characters that have longer, steadier swings and support that with power outside of attack speed. So I don't think that build makes any sense there, Ryan.
Yes. Well, you've swayed me. I think Deathwalker should build like a tanky solo laner.
Hey, that's his plan. I don't mind the Chinsai at the end of the day. 6th item Chinsai, I wouldn't mind.
I like that Wlfy's going for Hide of the Urchin right away as this Isis, because Isis is going to be relying on her base damage more than anything else anyways. You're not losing a whole lot in terms of damage. Plus, with that Book of Thoth there, you're getting extra damage from Hide of the Urchin anyways because of that 250 mana that's on the item. It's not a lot, but it is a little bit of extra damage from building that Hide of the Urchin. So Wlfy now less vulnerable as soon as he completes that item, even less vulnerable now with the Armored Cloak, which is a very efficient tier 2. Now can kind of not maybe go in with those Wind Gust attacks and try and hit enemy gods with them instead of using it just to reposition.
I mean, I think that's... I still don't want Wlfy on my front lines, but yes, it does give him a little bit more tankiness for sure.
Resilience.
That actually, jokes aside, that actually is the word I was thinking for. Oh, it's like you finished the sandwiches right out of my mouth. NRG eSports looking for the objective here, but instead they're going to look for the fight. Blink forward by adapting. He gets caught up in the Wrath of Terror by Kalas, half HP. Oh, the Guardian! Great pull! But it's iRaffer. Nobody looking at the Portal Demon instead. Looking to wrap around, taking the long way here is Yammyn, but the circles on circles. Gonna bring iRaffer down low, Wlfy down lower. iCeicebaby still in trouble. maniaKK looks for the Odin, pushing him out of the conversation. NRG eSports still not looking at the objective. They've won this fight, but just barely, Ryan.
Oh, I love this cursed Ankh pickup from iRaffer. That was such a big difference maker there because I was wondering where's the health from the Circle of Protection from Wlfy. That was a full charged ultimate and no one seemed to heal up. It's because iRaffer picked up that anti-heal relic to make sure that that wasn't going to be the big health swing in Rival's favor. That relic pickup ends up keeping energy in that team fight. If Rival can resustain very quickly with that big burst heal and go back into that fight, energy's in a ton of trouble. Instead, it was Rival who was on the run.
Exactly, and that's, I mean, that's, I think it's easy for, iRaffer's always the one to bring out the forgotten item and stuff like that. I think that's an easy play for iRaffer to go for. emilitoo getting aggressive, missing the axe is going to be Vote. Back-to-back basics, jump, and he's gone. Taunt him right back to base. Vote, the natural-born killer, putting emilitoo in his place for the 4th kill for Team Rival.
Emil had Aegis there and could have tried to go for the outplay of the outplay, but just a little bit too slow on the reaction time. Vote with a really nice solo kill, and this opens up this Gold Fury nicely for Rival.
25% already done. Ultimate for iCeicebaby online, so expect the ring. Half HP here, iRaffer, Yammyn adapting in energy. Jerseys, local, and waiting. Oracles go to Team Rival, and they'll settle for that, walking away.
Vote just a little bit too low on mana and HP, plus Wlfy didn't have the ultimate there. Ice did because of the inherent low cooldown on Ring of Spears, but Circle of Protection takes a little bit longer. So if Rival would have had that Isis ultimate, probably a full-on commit to that Gold Fury. But in that scenario, I like Rival deciding to just say, hey, let's get the Oracles, let's play it safe. We cannot afford to throw away this next Gold Fury because that would really even up the game for energy, and that's exactly where they want it.
And something I want to bring up is as Wlfy's ultimate comes up right now, incredible discipline, because it's easy to say, guys, go for it. My ult's on a 3-second cooldown. But you're still going to lose it in those 3 seconds. So really, really intense discipline coming out from Team Rival right there. Energy sniffing people in the jungle, stun out iCeicebaby, but continue to walk away. Don't want to deal with that anytime soon. maniaKK and Deathwalker just sort of dealing with each other here. 2 levels. maniaKK Senior is DW.
I really like this build coming out from iRaffer. I already touched on the cursed Ankh relic pickup, but this Oni's Hunter's Garb is such an undervalued item. It is bought fairly often, but man, this is so good for Guardians in the support role and in solo. Anytime you deal damage to an enemy god, you're going to be getting 20% damage mitigation for the next 5 seconds. So iRaffer, who wants to dash into the middle of everyone and stun a bunch of people with the bear stun, gets 20% damage mitigation for the next 5 seconds. maniaKK, who might want to dash in and find that lurking in the water setup, pull in the pluck. A lot of teams like to commit to the Sobek after he plucks in a tank or something like that.
Right.
20% damage mitigation if he picks it up. A really, really undervalued item.
Half HP on the Portal Demon already. Energy in the neighborhood. maniaKK and Yammyn on the front side and adapting, making the lap around the back. We're going to find somebody low, or even the objective very low. There's Wlfy on the end. Adapting comes through with the blink, and the Portal Demon's going to go to Team Rival. Now adapting is the subject of Deathwalker's ire, and he'll be knocked to the side as Kalas, he's going to be in trouble. maniaKK grabs him, flips it to the back, and Yammyn puts a hole in him. Number 3 for NRG eSports. iCeicebaby's up next. He's all the junglers, and now it's going to be Osiris walking away, no problem. 2 dead on the side of Team Rival. Energy comes up big after losing the Portal Demon.
Love that team fight from Energy. That's textbook for them. Adapting blinks into the backline, causes a little bit of confusion. Rival commits to the Portal Demon and end up getting it, but as soon as Adapting gets turned on and everyone starts focusing on him, they immediately allow maniaKK to go into the front side, and look at what Rival's going for here. They understand that Gold Fury is going to be going down. They immediately head toward this Fire Giant, but Energy sniffed it out very, very quickly.
This is, again, an Energy understanding, sort of the playbook plays. This is so Energy. I love this move. Deathwalker half HP, stunned out from Vote though, and now iRaffer in trouble. maniaKK in trouble as well. Deathwalker getting hit by the Fire Giant. One more will do it, but he's gonna get out of there just barely. But the most important thing, if you're Energy or an Energy fan, the Fire Giant stays alive. iRaffer, nobody cares.
And Gold Fury goes down for NRG. emilitoo gets a tier 1 tower for NRG on the left-hand side. Completely worth it for them. Now they need to get back and recoup for this tier 1 tower defense. They do so nicely. And Kalas with that Lotus Crown for the Sylvanus. Not only does Wisp already give an extra 20 physical protection as it's healing you up, but Lotus Crown gives you some more physical protection. That ends up being the difference for Deathwalker escaping with very, very low HP from that Fire Giant damage.
Here's what I was talking about. NRG are the team that will go over and over specific circumstances and scenarios. That's how they've been successful. Talking about their practice regimen, and that was executed so cleanly that, you know, I haven't spoken to the guys about this set particular, but that's a scenario that I wouldn't doubt that they've talked over specifically, where the enemy team's going for a Portal Demon. That's 100 gold per player. It's really not that big of a deal at this point of the game if you're not using it for the Fire Giant. So NRG eSports take the team fight, prioritizing players over the objective there, because they can loop back to the Gold Fury, and then the Gold Fury's at half HP and players are already rotating because the enemy got the Portal Demon. The only one left is the Hunter, emilitoo, who can tank it up with the Devo gloves, no problem. That was so precise and meticulous, Ryan, that they have practiced it before. It looks beautiful, and I think those types of exchanges, those types of sequences are what make NRG.
And just having that sort of mental acuity to be ready for these sorts of things in these big sets where your land life is on the line, a guaranteed spot at land. Remember, whoever loses this game isn't out of Super Regionals. They still can get there through the gauntlet, but it's a much harder path and would much rather have the better seeding and the better opportunity.
For sure. iRaffer controlled here. Put the bear in the cage, but he walks right on out now. He's going to get flipped up, he being Deathwalker. And here's the dash from Kalas, but he misses. Only finds maniaKK, who's in the ultimate. Immediate turnaround for the Lurking in the Waters. But NRG eSports just going to walk away. No big deal. I'm going to deal with it here. Team Rival 5-4, leading the kills, but everything all even as far as gold is concerned. Rival up about 1,000 if you want to get technical, 1,300 perhaps more precise, but at 22 minutes, almost 23, this game's all tied up.
Good communication there between maniaKK and iRaffer. iRaffer is locked in the cage, no way to get out, and maniaKK says, you just have to come to me.
Yeah.
I've got the Phantom that I can pop over the wall to get you out of the cage. That's a guaranteed kill for Rival without it.
Wlfy here, just clearing up some minions. maniaKK lurking on the right-hand side, wants to find someone out of position. Won't be gifted that present. Adapting, lurking on the left side, wants to just find someone, full stop. Won't be gifted that just yet. Ice served up, and now it's Deathwalker trying to control the entire enemy team. Able to do so with Thorns and a couple of abilities. Big stun onto maniaKK. He's taking damage. maniaKK likely to fall here, surrounded by Team Rival members. Dash away is good. In the ultimate, not going to provide damage reduction, but the ultimate won't even confirm either.
No way. No way maniaKK gets out of this. Finally falls, but look at what NRG did in mid. They just took the 2v3, and they're taking it over easily.
That's, again, you talk to a support player when they die for an objective, and they're sitting there on their deathbed, their timeout screen, just saying, haha, I did my job. Two players chased out a 1 HP Sobek while his team picks up a tower and a half. maniaKK is sitting there screaming in Portuguese, going, haha, I did my job. No big deal, comrade.
Man, that's a lot to commit to that Sobek, and it's tough to let that go for Rival. You think that, yeah, all it takes is 2 shots of Wind Gust. Well, Wlfy missed a shot of Wind Gust, and then, I'll just drop Circle of Protection, then we can go back to the team fight. Even by that time, it's too late for Rival to get to where NRG had pushed up and pushed the rest of Rival back too. Just one kill onto a tanky solo Sobek is important, but it's not so important that you can lose multiple members for it and an objective on top of that. That's map pressure that Rival has now lost. That opens up NRG to go this Portal Demon, and it's one less escape route that Rival has. And that's especially important for gods like Sylvanus and Isis, who are going to get jumped on by NRG. We've seen them do it already.
iRaffer barely stepping out of that one.
Because he's a bear. Oh, nice.
I didn't even mean it that way. It just meant like he just barely got out of there.
Oh, well, then you should have. No, that's where you like take credit. That was funny and clever, and you don't. Well, frankly, you don't get many of those. So you want to.
Wow! I again can't miss these. iceicebaby getting knocked up, controlled. Thorns popped a little bit early, I think. The Odin stepping outside. emilitoo pretty low, however. Backside, safe and sound. Deathwalker in trouble, but the Odin ring already gone. The pop out of Wlfy gone as well. 3 ultimates already off the table. Vote doesn't even have one. NRG eSports now looking for the turnaround. Wlfy in the Aegis.
Oh, the sprint gets him out for the moment. maniaKK can't quite close the gap with that charge prey. Big damage coming out of Yammyn as well with that Stellar Burst. But a beautiful stun by Wlfy sets it up for maniaKK to fall.
Vote out of control. Basically a double kill in this team fight. Kills get awarded other places, but Vote does all of the damage and just keeps everybody at bay with that Ullr bow. Very low, our team rival. And all they have is Colos's Wisps, but they're going to take this as a commit to the Portal Demon. This could be dangerous. Yammyn caught out, still looking for it. Portal Demon confirmed, iceicebaby in trouble, jumps over the wall. 3 versus 5, but the 5 are low. Adapting's even lower. Silenced out, can't get over the wall. It's body blocked, finally now does jump away from one, but meets the other. Deathwalker with the end cap on that performance, and 26.5. Team Rival wins the last 2 team fights and find themselves eking close to a lead.
And with adapting down for 35 seconds plus, Rival could even come through this portal and look at Fire Giant. Wlfy's ultimate should be up fairly soon. Doesn't have any CDR in that kit, but over 3/4 of the way there, push. They're going right for it.
Yeah, I think this is the right call. I think you just straight push this, force NRG to show up. Portal Demon is actually doing its job here. And they're going to give the players that finished it a good look. iceicebaby with the moves, but the ultimate coming out from Isis. And it's all Team Rival. Wlfy gets the last hit thanks to that ultimate. And now Yammyn in trouble. Disperse is good, but he gets grabbed anyway. Now looking to turn around on the support. Colos half HP. maniaKK not going to go for it. And that be that. emilitoo on the Gold Fury. Relevant. Good move. Not going to win the Fire Giant fight. I like the call.
That just a little bit too much focus onto iRaffer from Rival. Yammyn had already used his Disapparate. Yes, he had both relics available, but as soon as Soul uses that Disapparate, a lot of her survivability goes right out the window. Yeah. I think I'd like to see Rival stick to what Colos was looking for there and chase down NRG's mid laner. Doesn't end up losing them a whole lot, just more potential pressure.
So the momentum certainly in the wings and the sails of Team Rival right now, but by no means is a single Fire Giant grounds to just win the game. I think that this is still an extremely, extremely close game despite the Fire Giant. A lot of times we see Fire Giant as just sort of like, well, when are they going to win? Because they're going to win. But at this point, with these teams and at this game particularly, I don't think Fire Giant is indicative of who gets the victory here.
No, I don't think so either, but it will make it a lot easier for Rival because they have a couple power items just completed with this Fire Giant buff, and there's a lot of towers left on the map, which really just turns into gold for them to spend.
The Tier 1 towers are going to be wiped out here, and I'm not really concerned about Tier 1. You're looking at 510, 1,500 gold, right? And I believe the Tier 1 tower in the right side was already down, so it's just about 1,000 gold here that you're getting for Team Rival. These Tier 2s, I think, are problematic. And NRG, very rarely do you defend a Tier 2. I think this is the scenario that you want to defend that Tier 2.
I agree. I like this NRG, at least making Rival earn it, as there's the blinking from Colos. 3-man knockup with that Wrath of Terra. Nice cage. Locks in maniaKK, but he did have the Phantom. Circle of Protection, not doing anything for Rival.
And it's going to ding NRG a little bit. Look at adapting, though. Full HP is going to catch him around the corner. Or maybe he'll get caught himself. Still on the chase is NRG, trying to slow him down. Rival.
Nice silence.
Yeah. That silence on iRaffer will basically stop the entire chase.
Silence just destroys Artio. Anything that interrupts the very many channeled things she brings. I mean, Bear Stance swipe channeled in 2 parts, so you can interrupt that very easily with either silence or the stun from Isis. That root. The dash as well, we saw iRaffer get caught with that earlier on because of Wlfy CC. This Isis CC, another big reason why it may have been picked instead of the Raijin, even if it was open, because that interruptible CC against iRaffer. Now, NRG did lose their Tier 2, but didn't lose anyone in response. They did have to use the Phantom, though, so maniaKK needs to be careful, and the rest of NRG need to be careful that they don't get caught in that Odin cage for the next 85 seconds. Rival is going to put the pressure on in that time.
And it's 85 seconds that I want to bring up. Yes, it's a long time, but it's certainly it's a lot shorter than it could have been. And NRG don't defend their tier 2 tower, but they eat up a lot of that fire giant time. That's kind of why I pointed at this is why it's time to defend your tier 2s, because you want to eat away at this fire giant buff on the opposition, whether it's by raw kills or just by sort of occupying their time. Tier 1 goes down to the left, and it looks like NRG are just going to sort of, all right, we get it. You get the tier 2s now. But they put up that fight, and here on the right side, this fire giant might fall off mid-fight. So that's why we're going to see NRG one more time look for the defense on the right side.
But man, they need to be so careful, because if iceicebaby finds a priority target in that cage, could be quickly game over for NRG and their chance at a guaranteed super regionals. But
there's a sprint, and that's going to be the move forward as everybody gets caught up in Colos's nonsense. He gets knocked up himself, and players trying to stay in the middle of the circle of protection. But it's iRaffer forced out on the left-hand side. Deathwalker looking forward. Yammyn low, Emo low. Nice pull onto maniaKK. He himself is low. Jumped on top by iceicebaby. But NRG eSports not going to let players on their Phoenix just yet. All 3 towers of the tier 2 side down. All 3 towers of the tier 1 variety down as well. Fire Giant, however, has fallen off of Team Rival. Still find themselves up 6,000 gold.
And adapting just has not been able to make an impact this game at all. I mean, he's got less damage than Kalas does on the Sylvanus. The Camazotz pick just hasn't worked out thus far for NRG. He's not even there in that last engagement because he knows he can't get into the thick of things without getting blown up very quickly.
Is it a selection thing or is it a performance thing?
In my mind, a little bit of both. I still think that anytime that NRG's in a game-clinching situation, I want adapting on Thor. I want him on that character. Now, in this particular draft, it would have been into Isis, and that's a really horrible matchup for Thor, who gets all of his damage interrupted very easily by Isis. So Camazotz probably ends up being the better pick overall, but it just has not been the performance that NRG need out of their jungler.
You know, and I know I'm going to get memed for this because of like who I am, but Fire Giant going to NRG is a big deal, actually.
Rival just...
That's a really big deal. Team Rival, you know...
Too slow.
You sort of zone out there. I thought Rival was just doing the Fire Giant. I apologize, fans. You deserve a little bit more than that. It just looked so... NRG just doing it so matter-of-factly. I assumed it was Rival because they've had the upper hand.
Well, it hasn't stopped Rival from going for the mid-Phoenix, at least posturing like they wanted. And Yammyn did expend the ultimate there to confirm the Fire Giant, so that is a big damage off the table.
The Portal Demon was there!
Portal Demon was there, but no ward coverage meant that they didn't want to come in.
Oy vey. Still, not enough to stop the onslaught of Team Rival, as you mentioned, but the Fire Giant, a big deal. Voden Buchanan then cares. He takes down maniaKK, 4 on 5 so far. Wlfy relatively low. There's adapting, making his move. Kill number 3, and the one that's going to make a big deal. Yammyn pulled, beads out. Got to get out of there. iRaffer low. Can't defend so hard, and players need to heal up and try one more time.
Emilitoo's still very healthy, though, and Yammyn's ultimate's going to be up pretty soon. iRaffer needs to get back to base. He's too low to continue to fight, but look at what Emo's putting out. A lot of crits.
Adapting as well. Maybe not the crits, but the long-range damage certainly helping. Deathwalker on the retreat. Kalas is gone. And there's the sprint to NRG eSports on the offensive. Down 6,000. Not willing to let this go without a fight. Picking up the Fire Giant.
Really just testing Rival. Are they going to come through that portal? We'll take the fight there. That could have been a really good fight for Rival if everyone is on the same page, but not everyone had backed at the same time. Some people had cleaned up some buffs, you know, whatever it may be on that right-hand side. So now you've got delayed timers, and you can't afford to walk in 1v1, even down, you know, even when you're up by 4,000 or 5,000 gold, you can't go in 2v5 against a team like NRG. NRG take advantage.
Well, it's NRG taking the Gold Fury. I knew that wasn't Rival that time. The question I was going to ask was, I really like Thanatos in this matchup. Adapting has played Thanatos a handful of times, similar to Thor, the semi-global.
I don't like Thanatos into a composition like this because I know that Thanatos isn't get a lead early or become useless. It is the previous sort of stigma around him was. But you still do want
You don't have that
early.
late game.
And there is just no chance you get pressure against Osiris, Odin, Isis, Sylvanus. It's just not possible.
You silence out the Wind Gust every time.
It doesn't matter. You're still getting hit by Spirit Ball and setting up for damage out of Odin, who's going to one-shot you because of your low base health. The Bird Bomb does so much. You're stuck in that Odin cage unless you have your ultimate. So if you use it to initiate, you get locked in, and then you need Phantom for Maniac. I understand where you're thinking the Thanatos into the Isis in particular, but it's never just Isis.
No,
it's everyone else.
I like the Isis and Osiris matchup. The Odin, on the other hand, definitely something to think about here. Team Rival now on the defensive foot. They've got about 50 seconds left to Fire Giant to deal with on NRG's side, so we'll see how this one turns out as their Tier 2 towers are under assault now. Adapting, not looking for the flank, though he is in the jungle, more of a offensive, pure offensive. Now he's going, okay. Still biding his time. Trying to figure out what the call is here. iRaffer just easing forward. No real hard initiation coming out from iRaffer. The way that Ratha will work. Maniac already half HP. Brought very low. Might die here. Jumped with the dash away. Saves the life of the solo later. iceicebaby gonna wrap around and be controlled there. Nice cripple, keeping him right in the center. And NRG eSports still continuing. Beautiful uppercut coming out from emilitoo. Finishes off Collis, and that's a Tier 2 tower.
Adapting still, looking to force all of Rival back. They give up their Tier 2, but Fire Giant's about to fall off in 5 seconds. That means Maniac has no real sustain, only has the heal from Sickening Strike. iRaffer's very low as well. NRG gonna have to back up. They can't get this left side Phoenix.
This is absolutely the type of game I expected in this game too. Specifically between these two teams. Fire Giant is enough to maybe get us a Tier 2 tower. That's the type of talent you're talking about. That's the type of just gameplay you're talking about. Again, this is that game where people always bring up the, sports or competitive gaming is X amount of skill, X amount of mental fortitude. And well, yeah, this is the one where your ability to keep a steady head is just as important as your ability to hit all those keys.
I love Wlfy's build that he's going for now, looking for that Rod of Asclepius in that last item slot. Gives him some health, gives him some extra movement speed, and that means that everyone's going to be healed more from Circle of Protection as well as himself from those wisps coming out of Kalas. So really smart pickup from Wlfy, amping up that healing, but also giving himself some more of that survivability.
NRG, Fire Giant, free or no?
No, I think I can test this at least a little bit if I'm Rival. I don't want to give this one up for free.
Right now, NRG starting the party. 50%, a little bit above that. Now it's iCeice that's being collapsed on. Ring already used, and iRaffer going to be dancing in it. Trouble is everything dead. Popped, and he's gone. Vote with the last hit, taking out the support player. iceicebaby on the run. Deathwalker from the back end, trying to deal with the Hunter, who's trying to deal with him. Ultimate's going to save the life of emilitoo, but it's iceicebaby taking down maniaKK, a 3v5 for a long, long time, at least 40 seconds. And that Fire Giant belongs to Team Rival.
Rival want to take that fight every time because Phantom was on cooldown for Maniac, and as soon as iRaffer got locked in that cage, and as soon as Wlfy dropped the Circle of Protection, NRG needs to just jump in there and try and find a way to put pressure onto Wlfy, but with how good that positioning from the Odin cage was, there's no chance of that happening for NRG. iRaffer gets sacrificed without doing anything in that engagement because he got locked in that cage and no one could step up and support him. And Rival find Maniac on the backside as well, so all the damage dealers from NRG have to fall back.
Team Rival now in the driver's seat, to put it lightly, and still just 3,000 gold separate our teams. Again, gold pretty much not as relevant as it once was, but definitely representative of how these teams fight back and forth, even into the late game. Emo gets half health by Wlfy's long-range Spirit Ball. Maniac will spawn in about 3 seconds, and he is a very big part of Team Rival's defense. So with the right side Phoenix down for the count, Team Rival regrouping now. The long way, they're going to go all the way back to base, make what could be their final purchases, and then head back up the lanes. They'll be dealing with an NRG eSports in full, though. All 5 members ready to play D.
emilitoo does have upgraded purification bead, so 30 seconds off of that typical 160-second cooldown, so not quite as long before those beads will be back up. Should be nearly ready by the time Rival are ready to push in one of these waves because of how far pushed back all the minions' waves are on the Rival's side of the map. It still has to be wary of how much damage that Spirit Ball is going to do at this stage. Now with Wlfy having that Fire Giant buff and finishing off that last item, Rod of Asclepius, that's even more damage. Instead of that 800 plus that he got hit by, it might be 900. And if he's more than, 2/3 HP, It's not. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's not a good look to be hit by that spirit ball all the way in the back line, and in the craziness that is combat can be difficult to keep track of. So Team Rival now again, like we said, on the offensive here as we ding past 40 minutes. This one is for most of the marbles. You're not out if you lose here, but you certainly have a clean way, as we said, avoiding the gauntlet and just getting right into super regionals. That's the uptown train. You don't want to take that one train. That's not what you want.
Now, every time NRG has had Phantom available, as maniaKK does now, they've had a pretty good team fight. So if iceicebaby can't find the right targets, and even if he can, maniaKK seems to be close enough to throw down that Phantom and get NRG out of the cage.
Well, there's Deathwalker leading the charge, get flipped out to the backside. emilitoo trying to deal with the tanky solo laner, but already his teammates are hurting. maniaKK's low and emilitoo's half HP. iRaffer's low as well, and the circles are already dropped. NRG eSports have a great defensive set here. Now they're looking for the offensive move, adapting all the way to the front line, using that ultimate. Wlfy one shot, Wlfy two shot, but the retreat from the jungler as he gets jumped on by DW.
Adapting very low. Deathwalker looks to finish him off, but it's going to be iceIcebaby up and over the top, putting down Adapting.
And they're continuing the onslaught on the left-hand side. Adapting's down. NRG had a fantastic defensive stop for the moment, but Team Rival able to chase back the chasers, if you will. And Team Rival take their 5 players and move on to the mid lane. Defending without the Camazotz, not exactly a huge deal. NRG should have a pretty strong spot at defending here.
But no ultimate for Yammyn, who gets pulled back in by Camazotz, and Wlfy's going to finish him off. That might do it for NRG's auto bid into Super Regionals.
That's got to be game here. Jumping right on top of the Titan, half HP already. Emil trying to do what he can by taking care of Vote, but Kalas turns to the Hunter, and everyone turns to the Titan. NRG eSports look towards the gauntlet, and Rival look up towards Super Regionals. Congratulations as they head into the postseason, and our 2-time defending world champions will have to fight for our pseudo wild card to even find themselves in the postseason.
And NRG played really well this set. NRG really dominated Rival in game 1 and had a pretty good game 2. Yammyn was playing out of his mind in game 2. He was doing so much damage, but that last team fight on that left side, Phoenix, Yammyn steps up to ult Deathwalker and Deathwalker only. And that's why that re-engage goes so well for Rival, because the threat of Yammyn's ultimate one-shotting either Wlfy or Vote isn't really there. And that's who that ultimate has to hit in those sorts of scenarios, because against even the jungler iceicebaby, who's semi-tank, semi-damage, still an Odin. You're not going to be able to kill him like that.
Just God, very, very interestingly. What a set, though. I mean, that was NRG played the way they need to in game number 1, able to come out and just sort of make everything happen, individual prowess, etc. And then game number 2, a couple of players sort of fell flat.
Adapting in particular, for me, just was never able to make anything happen on that Camazotz. And a lot of that is pick-oriented, in that who is he going to go on? Wlfy's been just surrounded by everyone the entire time. No chance for anyone to get on top of him because of how good Rival's protection was. But at the same time, just couldn't find any real impact plays in that. And honestly, Rod of Asclepius, that last item for Wlfy, ended up coming up huge. He got very low from Adapting's ultimate, but that heal was crazy. Between the Fire Giant, between the heals from Sylvanus, all of a sudden Wlfy ticks up to about a 3rd HP, and Adapting's forced to retreat, ends up getting picked to start it off.
Tough stuff for the NRG jungler and NRG in general. We'll dive deeper into the game at the desk. It's Totally and it's Ron.
Thank you, FDOT, for bringing us an amazing set here. NRG against Rival, going the distance there. What an even set.
Yeah, that was a set that I think people would want to see at Worlds or at a big LAN. And it's weird that the last week of the SPL for EU, that comes down to who goes to Super Regionals.
That's right. A lot of stipulations off that set. Let's take a look at the European standings real quick. Off of this split now, we're going to be seeing NRG at 7. They're going to be going to the Gauntlet. Rival with 9 points. They're going to be heading towards Super Regionals. Earlier on today, we had another split. Elevate against Valence Squad. Elevate winning that one. Super Regionals. Valence going to be dropped down to that final boss in the Gauntlet.
Yeah, exactly as everybody predicted. NRG and Valence Squadron would be going to the Gauntlet, and Elevate and Team Rival will be going to Super Regionals. Granted, most people probably thought Team Rival is going to Super Regionals, but it's a very weird mix right now.
It's very surprising to see, honestly, NRG in the gauntlet. There's a slight chance that they won't make it into Super Regionals, and they won so many lands in 2016. I think 6 lands consecutively at one point, and now they could actually not find themselves in the next upcoming one.
If NRG plays as well as they did in Game 1 versus Rival, granted they'll win every game, and they didn't play like that all set, all split, but if they play well, you know, up to their standards, they can definitely make it through the gauntlet. But right now, they're not even the top seed, so they still have to go through.
So let's go ahead and break down set 2 rather, NRG and Rival, because Game 1 and Game 2 was completely different in my eyes. The way Adapting was able to really pilot the circuit in Game number 1 alongside maniaKK, so Osiris, I think that's the identity that NRG really bring.
Yeah, with you want to put maniaKK on Osiris if he's available. I think that's really like the elite play for maniaKK. And putting him on that Sobek in Game 2 was very rough, considering that he didn't get that early pressure.
That's right. You can't really pilot an aggressive assassin in the jungle, same way Adapting did in Game number 1, with a passive solo laner on the Sobek. And I think that's why Rival was really able to kind of control at least the early pacing on themselves, with Deathwalker playing this Osiris.
Deathwalker playing the Osiris, I want to say he hard carried the early game, because Deathwalker is very good at getting pressure and keeping that. Sometimes you see a Sobek-Osiris matchup and you say, okay, Sobek just says, I'm going to sit here and not do anything, and then I'll win the team fights later. But you know, I'm pretty sure maniaKK went like 0-6. He wasn't doing anything. No,
not too much at all. But on the flip side, outside of the solo lane, the rest of Rival's composition was also flipped on its head. We had the utility style between this Odin, Isis, and Sylvanus completely controlling a lot of these team fights, even forcing an early Phantom from maniaKK.
Picking that Odin with the healers on your team is so strong, considering that we haven't seen an Isis in forever. And granted, we did have the really smart pickup of the Ankh to reduce that healing burst, but those team fights were pretty much all controlled by the Odin ult.
This was the play here where they caught out iRaffer inside the cage before maniaKK's Phantom was available. I think it had something around 40 seconds remaining until then, and then off of these 2 picks, Rival secured themselves the first Fire Giant of the game, get the right side Phoenix during the respawn timer, and I think from there, NRG couldn't really defend the left side.
If you're a good team like that, even, you know, any team in the SPL will be able to look at those timers, especially on the relics, and say, he doesn't have Phantom, we can just kill him for free. Because whenever you have an Odin and you have the Isis ult, you have the Sylvanus ult, all that burst and even the dot with the Sylvanus ult, you can pretty much take care of anybody, including the tank.
It's just impressive performance, even by Wlfy, being able to switch his style from a Giannis to an Isis. That Spirit Ball during the right side Phoenix Siege, just completely allowing the rest of Rival to get that one for free.
Wlfy really completes Team Rival right now. I think putting him on the Giannis, you know, you have that early game where you're like, okay, these unstable vortexes aren't doing too much right now. You can get a little bit of poke on them. You can get some portals and help your team. But with Isis, you're expecting that pressure. He used it well, and he carried that mid game. And with that Isis, you never really see the kind of the Isis take care of that. Like the Ullr is a late game because he's just an ADC, but Isis had that hard pressure that Wlfy used very well.
Speaking of Ullr onto Vote, that solo kill onto emilitoo.
The solo and then the taunt while he's just sitting in lane, and then he just goes, oh, I guess I'll take care of the minions. That solo onto emilitoo, he had the Aegis, but he didn't want to use it.
Vote read him like a book. He knew when the ultimate was coming from emilitoo. He backed off at the right timing there. Very impressive kill there onto the Season 3 MVP of Worlds.
The Season 3 MVP, and Vote dodged the gust. You know, he's sitting there, he taunts, and he just like, okay, I guess I'll just solo emilitoo and go to Super Regionals instead of you.
Well, that was set 2. Rival made Super Regionals from that set. In the earlier set, Elevate making Super Regionals over Valen Squad. Quite an interesting story there, considering they didn't have their normal hunter. It was actually Bass stepping in for Jermaine.
Yeah, Boss played very well, all things considered. Game 1, he didn't have the best game. Nobody on Elevate did. I'm pretty sure they got like 1 or 2 kills. But Game 2, you know, he steps it up. He gets a little bit more confidence in him. He's able to position better in team fights, get a little bit more damage. He was putting these ultimates down and zoning everybody. You can even see here he's just chunking into the thorns, and it's just like he didn't care. He wasn't a sub at that point.
No, not at all. It just didn't seem to me that Valen Squad really wanted to play around Boss in the second game, allowing him to get the Hu Yi in game number 2 again, something that you might want to actually try to exploit every now and then, because that would be like the weakest link, honestly, if I'm looking at that team.
Exactly, and I was really impressed with Wlfy having a sub on their team because they played very well around Death Panther. He was hitting those ultimates in game 2, you know, those final judgments, chunking tanks, chunking, you know, the entire team fight, just passing through. He was doing everything for his team, and considering that, you know, he was a little bit behind, but he stepped it up, and they got to late game, which you rarely see in this meta.
Very important victory here, as Wlfy will now go to Super Regionals. They're with 9 points, tied with Rival also with 9 points, but because Rival won that head-to-head record 2-0, they'll be a higher seed. Valen Squad, though, with 8 points, will be the top seed of the European Gauntlet. Let's take